Hey there, folks. It's August 19th, 2023. Welcome back to my channel. I have just recently completed the two kinds of tunus video. I wanted to follow up. There's a comment from Ryan where he's liking the memory palace idea. Memory palace, I like that. I think I'll use that as a branch point. Like, we're talking about how you can organize your thinking, basically. And one way is using what we call art of memory. And Frances A. Yates is one of the historians really tied into that. Like, if we search for her on Facebook, she has her own page. She has passed away, but only after a great career. Let's see. Should be able to. Oh, I spelled her name wrong. That's why. S-E-S. Frances Yates is a great historian of the memory palace tradition and what people have done over the centuries to organize their heads, basically, especially people in positions of great responsibility. Not every monarch is a screw up, right? Some of them take their jobs seriously and they need a lot. They need to know a lot. They need to remember a lot. So they would have these special furniture built that would help them, keep it in their head, so to speak. Certain designs, certain memory palaces are both a literal structure and something you'd carry around in your head, is what I'm saying. So it's worth studying this material in the context of just design science more generally, like how architecture helps us remember our culture by illusion, by connecting. Like, this is something that has been going on for a long time, that we use physical structures to encode thinking about our culture. Like, it's all one code, you could say, or sometimes people strive to make it that way. So let's say you're in a small liberal arts college, and you're a professor, and you're trying to craft a course that will be interesting, cross-disciplinary, and you were looking at including some of this Bucky stuff. Well, I would recommend, and this is not a paid endorsement, I have to pay for this service myself, full price, the O'Reilly Safari Learning, whatever they call it, learning.o'reilly.com is what I end up. You can search on Safari online. O'Reilly's a publisher, and they have these animal books, so the term safari makes a lot of sense. You can look it up that way. And here I've just searched on design science. The thing here is, right off the bat, you're not going to require students to always buy hardcover books. You want to have subscription services. Maybe the college itself provides these subscription services for students. Maybe it's part of, just their tuition, whatever. But we're saving trees here. We're letting people go in and study. Like, design is one of the major subject areas here at the O'Reilly. Under topics, you can go down to design, and there's these different kinds of design. And you can get to design science that way, and lots about Buckminster Fuller as well. Like, he's often introduced in the opening pages of these books as one of the creators of the design science discipline. And so whether they go further than that, maybe not, right? Because we're still ahead of the game when it comes to what we're doing on this channel. So design science revolution, just add revolution onto design science if you want to make your course a little more edgy, a little more relevant, a little more forward-looking, and a little bit deeper, right? So let's keep the revolution around, and remember, it doesn't mean a violent uprising. Read about Fuller's approach in Critical Path, for example. Or come to Rumble and just search on synergetics, and you'll get a lot of interesting videos, including some of mine, a lot of mine actually. So I've been using Rumble, and therefore it's easier to just find my stuff there. And then here is where I'm going to continue from last video. To get into the math of it, I would recommend starting simple with several computer languages and doing the same thing in each one, which is generating the number of balls in the outer layer of some shape, such as this shape, the cuboctahedron, where we start with a central sphere and then we go all the way around it with 12, 42, 92, 162. That's the sequence. I have a cumulative version of it as well. And these you can find at the online encyclopedia of integer sequences, right? So you're going from design to something a little bit mathy, because architecture, engineering, all these things, they're not just purely psychology, or we need some math in here. So 1, 12, you can look these up by sequence, 42, 92. That's the number of balls in successive layers of the cuboctahedron, but also the icosahedron. And you can see that on this slide as well. This excerpt from Synergetics over on the right shows how we can morph a layer, consider it hollow. Like take one of these layers and morph it into an icosahedron instead of a cuboctahedron. That's what we call the jitterbug transformation. And it's the same number of balls. You don't lose balls when you do it this way. So that's why it says or icosahedron when they're defining these numbers. And you'll see Bucky's name throughout, like he was really into this sequence. And this encyclopedia knows it. And also, I'm proud to be here too. In the links section, K. Erner, links to microarchitecture of virus, goes to my Synergetics on the web. Talks about when Fuller started to be famous with Synergetics through the New York Herald Tribune. Is that what his great aunt wrote for the Herald Tribune? She was a correspondent in Italy covering a revolution back in the day, right? Way before Fuller was born. I'm just saying. New England transcendentalism comes in here. So we're doing some number crunchy stuff, but we're not losing sight of the art of memory or humanity's roots of what we're doing. In fact, another channel you might want to check out is 52 Living Ideas, where Fuller is woven in with all kinds of other contemporary culture, classics, great books, right? So you're that professor in a small college. You want ideas. You're looking for your original. You're not just going to take a canned curriculum off the shelf. And I'm trying to show, hey, here's the raw materials. They're all out here. You just have to know how to search. A quick thank you to Andreas for being very entertaining and working with Ryan and myself on this video, which is all his. Like I'm happy to be a coast. What was I? I was an extra. Like I appear in this film and the earlier draft of it, and I kind of get some of what he's talking about, and that kind of inspired my most recent video, actually. This one about two kinds of two-ness, because there's like tuning in and just becoming aware of, kind of in the first place, like a little dot in your field of view, and you're like in a spaceship, and if you decide to investigate, then you're basically going to map that dot. You're going to zoom in and you're going to start gridding it. You're going to start networking on the dot itself. You're going to pay attention to details. And I call that +2. Times 2 is you just notice there's a dot. But when you tune it in, you pick poles. Because you see, with this number of spheres in the outermost layer, it's 10f to the second power +2. And you can think of that +2 as just an arbitrary pair of balls that define a axis through the center, and then you can spin it and get a great circle and get a grid, like 25 great circles with the cuboctahedron, 31 great circles with the icosahedron. That's where you jab your like shish kebab stick through face centers, edge midpoints, and opposite vertices. And if you count up how many of those features there are for those two respective shapes, you get 25 great circles for the cuboctahedron, 31 for the icosahedron. Fuller goes into that in great detail, breaks them up into LCD triangles, 48 and 31. So Synergetics has a lot of number crunchy, numbery stuff, but it's also a memory palace. It's about building a memory palace. So you can have a very interdisciplinary, rich, and interesting course, and I'm trying to encourage that. And then there's community like TrimTab Book Club, which I plan to join in just a few hours for this conversation coming up. And Math for Wisdom, another place you might want to check out. There's ways to penetrate and join and be part of, as well as plenty of research materials. I'm not going to run out. You're not going to run out of syllabus here. So be encouraged. There's lots to study for you and your students. All right. Talk to you later.